I had an opportunity when I was in the minor leagues. They were grooming me to be a minor league manager. Well, I was engaged to my wife, and the managers, I mean, in the minor leagues at that time in the 50s, they were living in trailers. I mean, my wife was a registered nurse and stuff, and she would never go with me. I would never get married. I mean, it was like, so it was either marriage or go be a manager. I didn't want to be a minor manager, bouncing around the minors in a bus, like I was doing as a ball player, you know. And a lot of guys I knew that became managers and stuff moved up. Something I was going to tell you was 1960 was the first national TV contract on Major League Baseball, 1960. Before that, you only had the northeastern United States with baseball. There was no baseball south of Washington, D.C. or west of St. Louis. That was where all Major League Baseball was. There was nothing out here. This was minor leagues.
Nothing south, nothing west.
Nothing south or west. Everything was minor leagues south and minor leagues west, except for St. Louis east, Midwest, Northeast, down to Washington. And starting in 1960, with that move, in the next 10 years, you went from 16 teams, you went to like 30-some teams. So the game became a national baseball thing instead of just an East Coast and Midwest type major leagues. It was a national, because you have everybody in the United States has baseball now. When I was playing minor league ball, people went to see you play because they didn't see Major League Baseball. There was no Major League Baseball to see. People went to spring training. People went to see him in spring training because they didn't see him. You'd have to go up northeast to go see anybody play. So it was different. It was because of logistics and everything was so different. It was a different way. I mean, when I was playing baseball in the early 50s, you had the Phillies and you had the A's in Philadelphia.
They were both there.
Two teams in Philly at the
Okay.
time. And the A's played in the same ball. It was the A's stadium, and the Phillies played in the A's stadium. And it was owned by Connie Mack. And now you go to the A's stadium here, and they have a room for Connie Mack. And they got pictures on him and all this stuff. I actually had his autograph when I was a kid, but it was in pencil. And it's dissolved and gone.
Oh, yeah.
But I became an outstanding autograph hound when I was a young kid going to the ballpark. And I grew up in a neighborhood where the kids that were older than me would go to the games on Sunday. And they would either see the A's or you see the Phillies, because you had a doubleheader every Sunday, one or the other. Wow. Depending who was traveling and who was home, you always had a doubleheader on Sunday.
Oh my God.
So you went to a 1 o'clock game and the game ended at 7. And you had 2 games every Sunday. And it was fun.
Oh,
You would
yeah.
have 2 games for the price of 1. Now they take you out and they bring you back in again. But that day, you were there for the 2 games. And then I became an autograph hound as a young kid. And we'd go, after the game, we'd go where they would come out of the stadium to catch a bus or a car or whatever the hell, or a trolley. They would come out and we'd be hounding them for autographs, and they would get autographs. And I got a whole bunch of them over here I want to show you, because I got into getting pictures from magazines, and then I got the autographs of the pictures of who was in the picture.
Oh my gosh.
But I got, Joe DiMaggio, Ted Williams, Bob Feller. I got all
Oh my
these
gosh.
fantastic old ball players. I got autographs, pictures of them.
Wow.
So because I was such a nut going over there, and we used to living in Camden, we would catch a trolley. At the time, there was nothing going across the Delaware River Bridge on a subway. You had to take a You had to take a trolley to get to the water, then take a boat over to the other side, catch another trolley, 2 or 3 trolleys over there to get to the damn ballpark.
Oh my goodness.
So it took you like 45 minutes to an hour to get to the game, and it was different than today. You get in the car, you drive, and it was a lot of fun because it kept me out of trouble. I got into this stuff. I wasn't into any. We didn't have drugs and all this other crap when I was a kid, and so it was fun. It was a lot. I enjoyed baseball even before I got into the minor leagues. I mean, I enjoyed the game as a kid, and I think I'm going to give you some stuff on that and talk to you about it.
So as a kid, you got to meet some of these amazing people.
Oh, yeah.
But you're coming up at about the time, which is kind of a big time. Was it 48 that Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier?
And I met Jackie Robinson.
Okay, so
I took infield with Jackie Robinson.
Oh my goodness.
Actually, I worked out in Ebbets Field when I was in the Army. The Dodgers wanted to have me there to work out to see how I'm doing. I was playing ball in the Army, and I took infield with the Dodgers before one of the games, and then I was taking batting practice with them, and they were at Ebbets Field, and I was in the Army, and I was able to get the day off to go down, I was in Fort Dix, New Jersey, and I was able to drive up to the ballpark and spend the evening there at the ballpark. And I could still remember I went there, I was like there maybe at 6 o'clock, and the game's like 7:30 or some damn thing, and I'm on the field at 6:15 or some damn thing, waiting to get on the field, or I can't remember, but nobody was around except me, and Jackie Robinson comes out, all dressed to work out. And he said, "Kid, you want to play catch?" I said, "Sure, I'll play catch," and I was wearing one of the Dodger outfits. That's, they had your uniform. So I can still remember warming up with him, and of course I'm showing off my throwing arm, and and I had a great arm. Being a shortstop, my arm was my strength, and my agility getting around was because I was a fielder. I was a punch and Judy hitter, I would call myself, because I would slap the ball because I was as skinny as I am now. I'm down almost to my weight when I was playing. I was 165 or something. I'm about 169 now. But it was having a catch with him for me was just a phenomenal thing. And then afterward he came over and he says, "Are you having trouble when you're throwing long from shortstop to first base?" I says, "Yeah, I have a tail on the ball." He says, "Well, I see when you're throwing to me, you have a tail on the ball. So I throw this way and it goes this way." So it's tough when you're playing short and you're throwing to first base.
Oh, yeah.
You have to throw out this way to get it to the first baseman, So he says, "Look, every time you get the ball," he says, "get it cross-stitch in the pocket of your glove. And do that when you're catching, like playing catch." And he says, "After a while, when you go into the glove, you'll go cross-stitched 80% of the time. So when you're picking up the ball at shortstop, 80% of the time you'll be picking up cross-stitch, and throwing to first base will be accurate, throwing the ball to first base." So I got that out of playing catch with Jackie Robinson for 10 to 15 minutes. So I mean, and having, for him to play catch with me, I was like, why the hell is he playing catch with some young kid, in the minor leagues? So it was an interesting experience being there and being involved with the Dodgers at a time before they moved to LA. My last year of playing in the minors for the Dodgers, they moved that winter to Los Angeles. And I remember spring training talking about the possible move to the West Coast, because Walter O'Malley was a genius businessman, graduate from Wharton School, University of Pennsylvania, was a banker and a big investor in stuff. So he knew what the hell he was doing running a baseball team. Most of the owners of the baseball team, they inherited it from their parents and didn't know a damn thing about baseball or how to run a business or anything. Horace Stoneman was here. He didn't know his ass. He didn't know what was going on from one thing to another. I mean, he was a playboy, came from money, and he owned the Giants. And Walter talked him into moving to the West Coast, because Major League Baseball wouldn't allow only one team on the West Coast. You had to have at least 2 teams on the West Coast because the travel was so expensive. You'd have everybody just going for one 3-game series and then leaving again. So he had the forethought to grab the Giants.